Right, so a little bit of an update for you. So, arrived in Jodhpur at about 4:30, got into a tuk-tuk, crappy little tuk-tuk. He got kind of lost in the alleyways because he couldn't get through. There were too many bikes on either side, so I walked the last couple of hundred meters. I found my guest house, which was locked up, kinda, sorta. It said ring a bell, rang the bell, nothing. The gate was open, so I walked up. Another gate was open, so I walked up, and I am now on the rooftop restaurant with, I must admit, a fairly lovely view of the fort and a couple of temples. I'm going to be a little more on my security this week, considering that I just walked up the entire building, but could be worse. I still have hot tea that I put in my pack from last night. I've got snacks and things like that, so I'm going to settle in and wait for the place to wake up. Yeah. Perching on the windowsill in the morning sun. With that as my view. Good afternoon, friends. A beautiful day here in Jodhpur. I'm just about to head out, get some food, get some coffee. I've actually found a place that looks like a bar. Might stop in and have a beer. Mid-afternoon prayers kicking off. Just one point I'd like to make, if I can zoom. Yes, that is the Uwai Bagan, which is a fairly recent building. I think it was completed in 1942. And it's a 5-star hotel. It's also the primary residence of the former royal family of Jodhpur. Now, honestly, it might be fun. You know, dress up a little, walk in like I own the place, explore, have one cup of coffee and then leave. I'm quite good at that. But it's a little far out, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But what I am going to do is go up to that fort tomorrow and have a good old walk around. Stay tuned. Right, so rooftop, rather swish restaurant. Paying a little over the odds for a cold beer, but totally worth it. It has to be said. I'll have a good view. And that is my place. You know, this reminds me a little bit of Laputa, only without the eternal tree of life, and it's not flying in the air, of course. So I'm loving this. This hookah, shisha, is listed as a hubble bubble. But it is very nice. That is one big padlock used to seal the gates.
दीवार पे सभी जगह देवी देवताओं का डिपिक्शन है। ये है शीश महल, मिरर पैलेस।
So quickly, while I'm alone, this is the Full Mahal, which is an 18th century receiving chamber for the Maharaja Abhay Singh. It's absolutely stunning.
He was an accountant of the king.
I'll tell you something, guys, and I do know of which I speak here. That is a massive sword to be held in one hand, because I could barely get my hand around that. A little length of it. Fascinating. Other large cooking bowls. That one is, ooh, that's a foot above my head. Good evening, friends. So, having entered Mehrangarh, which is the fort on top of the hill, rather against type, I was kind of herded through this tour of the museum, and I hate that. I realise I'm bitching, but I mean, I much prefer being free to move around rather than walking around like it's an IKEA with arrows on the floor. But still, I'm up on the battlements now. So a little bit of history. Mehrangarh, which is a fort which has never been conquered. Admittedly, you know, by the time air power was a thing, it wasn't really an issue, but it's still an incredibly impressive structure. Construction began in 1459, credited to Rao Jodha, who was the Ranjit monarch at the time, although most of what we see now was completed in the 17th century. It has 7 gates, the primary of which, the Victory Gate, was built to commemorate the victory of the Maharaja Singh over the Mughal Empire, which is no small shakes. It is really quite sprawling, 1,200 acres, and it rises to 120 something meters over the plain. It just dominates the skyline. It's absolutely fantastic. So yes, a very impressive structure. I'll get back to you. So the legendary part, Rao Jodha, as I mentioned, who instigated the construction of this place, he selected this hill, which makes a great deal of sense considering it's the biggest one in the region. But there was a problem. It was known as the Mountain of Birds. And there was a man, a sage, a holy man of really quite some reputation and power, high caste, education, demonstrated powers, all that jazz. His name was Chirya Najji, and he was the sole inhabitant. They called him the Lord of Birds. And Jodha came along and sent delegations and his own holy man, and eventually came himself, and Chirya Najji categorically said no about 7 or 8 times. So Jodha did an end run and contacted Kana Maji, who was a superior caste, superior sage, superior holy person, and all that jazz, and asked her to come along and politely ask Chirya to vacate the premises. And she did, and he, faced with a superior opponent, caved. And as he left, he cursed Jodha, saying, "May all your wells dry up." Bit of a harsh one, but understandable, you know. Been living on a mountain, an ascetic life, your entire existence, and then some guy comes along and builds a castle on your head. But it has to be said, the castle, the legend. I'm forced to wonder if the best part of 600 years later, Chirya Najji is sitting on a cloud somewhere, grateful people still speak his name. I think I would be. Anyway, a few parting sunset-ish kind of shots, and I'm going to hop off and see if I can get into town, stop off at that stall I ate at yesterday, buy some beer, and go about my evening. I'll tell you something, man, I'm just about to walk down to get out. There is an elevator, which I was a little too proud to take, for a mere 50 rupees, but from here, the main level, down to the gatehouse is incredibly steep. I was shuffling, like literally foot lengths up it for about 15 minutes earlier. It's really quite serious stuff. Again, defensive position. I'm way out now. As I mentioned earlier, Rao Jodha, 1479, was the founder of Jodhpur, so Jodha, Jodhpur. But most of this fortification was built by the Maharaja Jaswant Singh, so call it 1650. Jaswant Singh is the name of my landlord, the guy in the hotel I stayed at in Udaipur. So obviously quite an auspicious name to have, you know. I guess it's like calling, if you're a girl born in the 60s and your name's Elizabeth, but everyone calls you Queenie, a bit like that. Right, so obviously the whole of Jodhpur laid out at its feet. And that down there is a secondary route, and the one that I'm going to take into town. Because if you look there, that's the clock tower, where the central market is. My stall guy is there, the beer shop is there. So that will save me a healthy 20 minutes of walking around. Anyway, right, that's me down. I must admit, that was a hard enough descent. Even zigzagging as I was, unlike the gaggle of French tourists who are stumbling down in their flip-flops. But I kind of wish I'd packed my knee support, because I'm beginning to feel it now. Always have everything, Jeffrey. Anyway, nearly there. Hopefully stall guy is still there, and I can get a plate of decent spicy food for 50 rupees. Yeah. So, I struck out with a food stall. Now, I would imagine that he gets up pretty early, makes a massive big vat of it, and then just sells that throughout the day. And then when it's gone, it's gone. And it is 6 p.m. I got uncharacteristically somewhat lost. I didn't get lost, I knew where I was, but I couldn't find that gate. So I think I kind of did it like that. I can only ascribe that to the fact I haven't eaten in 8 hours. I did have a very, very nice sugarcane juice on the way up to the fort, which was lovely. Oh God, I love that stuff. But now I'm just taking a powder for a minute. So I'm going to step having some tea. I'm going to go to the wine shop, buy 2 cans of beer. And I've just remembered that I don't have anything to wrap them up with. That was intelligent. And hike it back up the hill, and I'm just going to eat in my place tonight. Very tuneful bird sitting on the wire with a whole big bunch of pigeons. Anyway. Good evening, friends. So, I'm shattered, man. So, having missed out on my stall guy, hiked it back up, relaxed, had a beer. I asked the proprietors if I could have some food. They said the kitchen was closed because the chef has a fever. And the top door up to the top road was locked from the outside, apparently, so I had to walk 100 steps down and then 100 steps up to this rooftop terrace. I have food incoming, and lemon ginger tea, and chilled water, and a very large, hopefully, chicken curry with rice and naan. I'm a little bit hungry. I did snap a little bit when I was told that the upper door to the upper road, which would have saved me 200 steps, was locked from the outside. I'm like, what's the reason it's locked from the outside? It's like, well, I don't know. It's like, dude. Anyway. sun's gone down. The Hindu temple starts up. Right, having to be a little bit circumspect here because as a moderately famous Indian comedian, stand-up comedian by the name of Azim said, and I saw it recently, just crossing the road in this nation is like an extreme sport. You are constantly being buzzed by the literally millions of motorcycles. Oh, thank you, darling. I'm recording and everything.
Okay.
As you there. Yeah, so.
For necklace, bracelet,
Oh, thank you, darling.
Everybody's families give buying a real golden diamond.
No, thank you, darling.
Yes, thank you.
I appreciate it, though.
You buying quality pieces.
I'm not really a colourful necklace person.
Buying nice family, this one you give.
And I'm not seeing my family until Christmas.
You have daughter?
Huh?
You have daughter?
No.
You have boy?
Impromptu dance party. When the only lashing points for a washing line are directly over your head when you're in bed. Yep.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله